So they understand it. My concern is for the young guys, that were part of the H-Town takeover, and them analyzing it and see it in their face. But I do feel comfortable that it is better after a couple days. And it goes back to our leadership. Our leadership has done a great job of explaining to those guys that this is how it works. This is the business part of but what do you want to get accomplished? And I think it has kind of got through their brain to say, I'm here for a purpose. What is my purpose? And our purpose in the next 3 weeks, and I kind of tweeted this out, is that what is our purpose, what is our why, and it's those 16 seniors. And they understand that, and we're going to work our tails off to get them win number 10.
Todd, when you talk about the recruiting process with the change and everything that goes out, how do you maintain that in message to recruits that were considering U of H, committed to U of H? How do you kind of keep that ball rolling?
Yeah, that's the first thing we did. We sat down as a staff, and I told the staff, you're going to see every one of our commitments. And I don't care if you have to stay at school for 5 hours and stay in their house for 4 hours. It doesn't matter. There's nobody more important than those committed kids. And it's the stability part of it. I want to make sure that they understand that we're business as usual. We're going to see some different faces in there. I'm not going to wear a grill. I'm not going to dance around. I'm going to be me. But the things that were put in place here, there's testimony to that. You know, you win 22 games and only lose 4, there's a reason for that. And there's a plan in place, and you're coming into this plan, and we can be successful, and it's a very talented group.
You mentioned that, Todd. What do you do to keep that going? I think that's what everybody wants to know. How do you keep this thing going?
Oh, it's the recruiting part of it and keeping this recruiting class intact. So it is just pounding away and having things like this where they can see that we're capable of doing at a certain level. And the bowl game itself is going to be critical. It's going to be an evaluation. We're all being evaluated. Myself, Coach Applewhite, but every one of those kids is going to take a look at our program and say to ourselves, hey, have we lost something because we lost a couple people on staff? So it's going to be critical for us to perform. I told the kids that. I said, hey, listen, you want to help this program out. If you want to keep this brand the way it is right now, then you've got to practice your tail off. You've got to finish they have final exams coming up next week. They got to do an unbelievable job of finishing up strong. And then whatever game they put us in, we've got to play extremely sharp and well. And that will send a message out to all those recruits that the program is in great shape.
Todd, over here, what will it mean to you to be the guy to get the job here at UH?
I don't even think of it that way. And I say this in all sincerity. I'm simply looking these kids in the eye. This is where I'm a little bit old school, because I've been asked that question before, and everybody says, well, it's got to be your motivation to go and want to do this. And I don't even look at it close. I think the people in this room that know me say all I want to do is make sure that we give them, and myself with the organization, give them every opportunity to succeed. Because, hey, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, 5-10 years from now, a guy like Tyler McCloskey or you name it, G. Ward, 5 years from now, I want them to look back and say, you know what, that guy gave us everything he had. That's it. I'm satisfied because you don't fool a locker room. You don't. The locker room doesn't lie. And when you do that, I'm good with the result. As long as these kids feel like, hey, listen, this guy gave us an advantage. He had us ready, and then whatever happens in the game, I'm good with.
How difficult will it be, Todd, to get everything together and be able to do what you want to do and get ready for a bowl game with all the staff changes, all that stuff?
It's not. I mean, we activated 5 guys to go out on the road recruiting. I was more concerned about the recruiting than I am the football part. You know, when the part about myself is I'm under the roles of a head coach, so I can only go see a guy one time. So now there's a difficulty. I'm dealing with media. So if we don't trigger 5 other guys on the road and we're out there with 4 guys, that's insanity. So the organization of recruiting was critical at this point. I don't worry about the football part of it. I don't. These guys are capable. They're young. They're eager. They're ready to go. And then, like I said beforehand, when you have things in place like we do, the kids understand that they're going to have to pick it up a little bit too, and they're going to have to do a great job of motivating each other. So the football part, it's not a concern to me. The recruiting part, to make sure that our competition or the guys going after our recruits, we have enough people out there to defend them off.
What have you seen as the early reaction from your commitments?
Oh, they've been great. I think you guys have seen the Band of Brothers on Twitter. It's been awesome. I've hit them up personally. Everybody has hit them up. It's been tremendous. They're on board. Like I said beforehand, we're gonna have them all up there on Saturday. It's going to be fun, and they're gonna see what we're all about.
Todd, I know you won't know your bowl destination until this weekend. Do you have kind of a general outline of what the schedule will be, or I guess do you have to wait for that before you kind of figure out?
No, Sam, we essentially put dates together as if after Christmas at this time. So we have 3 schedules put together. We get 15 opportunities. We probably won't use all those, but we're ready to go. And I don't know when that is. That's a Hunter question, but I normally, from doing this a very long time, Sunday night, be ready for the call, or at least Monday morning. So we'll be ready. Whatever date they give us, we have a plan for.
And how much, I guess, the balance these next couple of weeks, is it, veterans versus maybe getting some young guys, extra reps, things like that?
Yeah, the practices, at least the first 3 practices coming up on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, will be fundamental. It will be our 1s and 1s and 2s and 2s, and I'm going to give them about anywhere from 9 to 10 horns, so 5-minute periods. And then after that, the puppies are going to go in there in full pads, and they're going to get after it. So I want to see what we have for the future, see if there's somebody that may be able to help us get those guys. I'm going to do that 3 days in a row, give them off on Sunday and Monday, because I believe we'll find out our destination. I want to give our staff a chance to game plan, and then come back on Tuesday of next week and do a normal practice week, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll probably have another Thursday in there someplace, and then probably keep doing it again until we find out exactly what the date is.
Todd, I'm curious that, there's some coaches, especially on the defensive side, that have been coordinators where sometimes they don't even entertain the thought of becoming a head coach because it would take them away from what they really love and what they know. I was curious what your feeling is on, as you move forward, if you look at your candidacy for the head coaching job, how you feel about that in terms of being more the CEO of a program and not maybe having your hand so much on that. Is it kind of like the thing where you would surround yourself with the people, your different coaching staff, stuff like that, where you don't necessarily have to be.
You lost me, brother. Take me through it.
I'm sorry, I'm fighting this throat
You're
here.
good.
No, just the fact that if you were to become a head coach and you're not so much involved in the day-to-day in the room with the defense coordinator, how you would approach that, how you feel about that, considering that's kind of been your path.
I would say this part, and I don't want to make this too much of I'm the head coach talk, but if I am the head coach, and I will always have kind of my hand in the defense. I think that's just natural. There's going to be people that obviously you're going to trust a lot more, guys that you've worked with, but to be able to look at a film, and when you have some expertise at doing something, the CEO part of it is important. Managing guys is very important, but making sure that if you have ideas, at the end of the day, you're judged by wins and losses. So I would always be a part of that room. I would always want to have a chance to give ideas, but I also know that I wouldn't micromanage. There's one thing that can really make people stagnant and make people not want to work for you is if you're always telling them what to do. So I would give my ideas and make sure that they understood kind of what I wanted, but it's their baby.
Todd, over here. You mentioned previously some of the young coaches that have stepped up and really helped you guys out at this time. Who are those guys, and what are some of the things they've contributed?
Well, I think C.J. Irvin comes to play, and I think, when you look at Derek Wareheim, had a chance to be with him. I know our kids respect the heck out of him, and there is some experience in that room. Roosevelt Majit, working with the defensive line. Our kids love him. He's so fired up. I mean, there's a gigantic smile from ear to ear every time I see him down the hallway with this extra responsibility. and he's got great people to lean on, Cam Malvo, B.J. Singleton, guys that can really help him through the process of motivating other people. And that's usually what happens when you get younger guys in there. Your vets always help you out. And then James Casey's body of work speaks for itself. I mean, if I'm Tyler McCloskey and I look at that guy, an NFL guy, a guy that can is a dynamic personality and a hardworking guy, they're going to listen to that guy. So, like I said beforehand, I don't worry about that. I really don't. If these kids are trained like we think they're trained, we're going to be fine, because everybody is going to help. The thing that I always look at is, are we at a disadvantage in some other aspect? And that's why we had to activate these guys to get them on the road. The football parts, to me, those guys will be fine. They're all qualified. The cool thing about it is they're very youthful, so there's going to be a lot of juice out there. They're out to try to impress myself and Major. They're going to do a great job, and I'm excited to watch them go to work.
Did you feel the need to give them any kind of motivation or encourage them to say that this is their opportunity to shine, or you feel like they already
No, they know. I mean, in this profession, there's a lot of times that some of our younger coaches either they sit there and they're waiting for their opportunity. They're very talented, but there's a kind of a pecking order that goes into what you can say and not overstepping your bounds. And then when they're let loose, man, it's really cool. It's really cool to watch people get creative and the guys take ownership of positions. And that's what I see right now. That's what I'm excited about. That upstairs is very, very youthful, and they're excited.
Todd, I know you said you're not focusing on whether you get the job or not. You're just focusing on what you're doing now. But what did it mean to you that Hunter chose you to lead the program, to be the face right now for the time being?
No, obviously appreciative to him. I hope that the kids understand that how much we're going to work for them. I really do. And maybe Hunter saw that. You'll have to ask him. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I know the journey that we've been on. This 2-year journey has been incredible. And it's, regardless of what happens through this whole thing, it's our obligation to put the pedal down and give absolutely everything that we have for these kids and for this brand. This is the part of, you do this for a living, you make sure that you make it better. And that's really, really important to me. And hopefully those kids understand that that's what we're going to do. And we're talking about a push for whatever it is, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whenever we line up and we play. But we're going to hammer it down. We're going to do this for these kids.
Todd, just personnel-wise, are there any updates on any guys after the game in Memphis? Ed looked like he was still a little, dinged up. Is there any change on him?
Exactly what you just said. And my point to Ed Oliver and even to Greg Ward is we'll monitor their practice reps. Greg's got to make sure that he throws the football to keep his rhythm. I told Ed, I said, get better. Get rested, get better. Because whoever we play, I want the 100% Ed Oliver. And there's no need. I already know what he can do on the practice. There's no need to sit there and say to yourself, go out there and take 1,000 reps before this game. We know what Ed can do. So what that timetable is in terms of his recovery, I don't know. It's not a major deal if it's managed correctly and we rest him correctly, and I expect him to be full throttle come bowl game.
Ed tweeted out, I'm playing for my city. I'm not going anywhere. Right. What did that mean to you guys?
Well, it's important because sometimes you analyze things and you start to come up with conclusions. And I told our kids to be very careful about social media because sometimes something that you mean in a certain way gets perceived as something else. But when Ed put that out there, I think it pretty much told everybody that, this is my purpose. And he's been great. There's one thing about that guy is he loves this place. He really does since day one. And I think he's got a little bit of chip on his shoulder to say, you know what, I'll carry us a little bit. We're okay. Challenge us and see what happens. And that's the real cool part about Ed.
Do you get the feeling that, I mean, it's good to it'll be good for them to get, it's therapeutic, I guess you could say, to get back on the field for practice, get into a game mode with the bowl? Because did you feel like, in the end, the kind of the cloud and the constant turning on the TV and hearing speculation about Tom, did that start wearing on the team any?
I can't say that, to be honest with you. Now, if you ask the kid, maybe he tells you something different, but I think I have a really good pulse of the team. I think it is going to be, Joe. I think they're going to go out in that field. I think the one thing I could see in their eyes when I met with them on Monday was, we're good, coach. Give us a schedule. That's really the sense that I got. Like I said beforehand, with the younger guys, I'm not so sure about those guys. So we're going to constantly monitor those guys. But those vets finally said to themselves, we're good. Give us a schedule, get us organized. Like I said today, they had a great lift. And then we'll get on the practice field on Thursday. And I'll be able to answer that question, Thursday after practice. But these kids have battled through a whole bunch of things this year, and they've always responded. They've never let us down. They've always gone at it with a great attitude. And like I told them, I don't expect that to change. People, past behavior is future behavior. And what they're doing right now leads me to believe that when we hit the practice field, we're going to be okay.